Final practicum report, Susan Reynolds, online teaching, spring 2017. For my practicum for online teaching, I chose a hybrid class that I have. It's called EAP 1620, Advanced Reading. The class met on Tuesdays, and the text for the class was Reading Across the Disciplines, 6th edition by Kathleen McWhorter. And the online work that I had my students do for my practicum was created as extra credit assignments within their hybrid. They already use Canvas as their online learning tool. So I just added to the Canvas class site. And for their exercises, I used material from an older edition of their book, 4th edition. So it was new readings for them, but the format, the style, the type of questions that they needed to answer were very familiar to them. There are 18 students in class coming from a variety of language backgrounds. And the students' ages and life experiences were everywhere from 18, first time in college, to over 50 doing a career change, or over 50 kids are away from home and now they are in college. And on the next screen you'll meet my class, also known as These Are My Babies, and they know it.
Chinese guy, come on! my professor's gonna love that expression. Come on, Annabelle. This is your moment. You are never this quiet. Alright, love it. Romina, hey! Jean, do you want to be on? Come on, Ying.
I created 2 modules within the Canvas course that my students are already accessing, and I labeled them as extra credit. Now for the regular homework, the students are reading an assigned passage from their textbook, they're doing some exercises from their book, but then they're recording their answers of those exercises into Canvas and taking a weekly quiz in Canvas based on the readings and based on the skill that they were focusing on. So I'm trying to create something a little bit different, less assessment, but still at the same time focusing on the same thing. I chose 2 skills, inference and critical reading, which in my experience, my learners have challenges with. Critical reading, I limited to discerning between fact and opinion, and then focusing on argument and bias. I did not include a review of purpose and tone in the module. Students would click on assignments and they would watch presentation videos. Now, the way the class is set up is a hybrid. I'm usually the one in our face-to-face portion who's presenting the videos, presenting PowerPoints, whatever we're doing. Here, I uploaded some YouTube videos, and that's what the students would watch for their lecture. I took the readings from the 4th edition of their older textbook and uploaded them to Canvas, so the students had PDF files that they could access. And then for each reading they did, there was a comprehension quiz. Now, the comprehension quiz was based on the exercises from the 4th edition of the book. So the students weren't doing work in their book and transferring answers to Canvas, which is the way their class is set up now. They were actually having to read the exercises in Canvas, even though they were able to access the PDF files for the reading itself. So they had some tangibles to touch. The assessment was being done online. And then the final part of it, instead of giving them a weekly test, which seemed rather ridiculous considering they were already doing one for me. I had them write a reflection, and for each of the 2 skills, I had them choose one question that I had posed from each of their readings. They could choose one answer, and then they were to just write their opinion on whatever the question happened to be. For the skill of inference, I chose a reading on culture and nonverbal communication, which is always a popular topic with my students, and another one called Soul Searching, which was about an American family who had adopted a baby girl from Korea, and they had gone back to Korea to see if they could see if they could locate the girl's birth mother. And then the critical readings that I provided for my students for them to focus on fact, opinion, argument, and bias. One was Bugs in Your Pillow, which completely grossed them all out. And that's one reason I chose it. I wanted something they could react to strongly. Profile of a Terrorist, which is a editorial piece on how Americans define terrorism. And that led to actually some interesting class discussions from their perspective. And then the final reading was Whether or Not to Vote, a Citizen's First Choice. And I tied this back into our recent election and the importance or discussion of the Electoral College. Going into my Canvas dashboard, I teach a fair amount online or enhanced online. This is the class that had the extra credit work, and accessing the class. Creating the work was one thing, and then where do I put it and how do I have it not count toward their total class grade, but they could still see scores for the work that they did, was one of the challenges I had with this. I figured it out on my own. I don't know if I could reenact what I did, but I figured it out. The students here I put everything under assignment. So this is their basic course content, table of contents. And there's really nothing here indicating the extra credit work, but they needed to go to assignments. Hello. And then again, coming back to assignments, the students needed to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. And everything that was for practicum work or for them extra credit, I labeled as extra credit. Originally, work was opened March 12th. I was going to have it open until April 16th. The students wanted open till April 23rd because it's the end of the semester and they're on a crunch to bring their grades up. I am going to do that. Here, the grades the dates are not reflective, but there is going to be a 1 week added for it to be available for them. I tried to just keep this again in the same order that I present it and that they've been doing all along through the course. So inference overview, YouTube videos, and readings to print and do. So I would tell them, start here. And with this coming up, I'm going to switch over to student mode. Now, something that's rather interesting in all of this is when I created this, I did not review it in student mode. And it got to be interesting when we went through it. I walked the class through it in our face-to-face meeting. We discussed one-on-one as they came to my office. I discovered that I had forgotten to click something really important, which is publish. And so the students couldn't access it. They could see it, but they couldn't access it. So that was a little bit to figure out. Now, in the student view, under assignments, everything that's still listed is that we are still doing for the rest of the semester is still listed. So they're finishing up species extinction, the discussion, and then the quiz on that particular reading, the weekly test. So again, labeling everything extra credit was very important. so that they could find it, but it's not broken out into a separate bottom of the screen view as it is in the instructor's screen. So going back to inference overview, the students, this is how it was put together. Inference is always a challenging skill. Watch the videos below. These are videos I pulled off of YouTube. I tried to find something that walked the line of informative, not pandering, but not deadly dull. I'll have to dig some more. These are ones that I pulled up that may meet my criteria, but I know that there's got to be something better, or I may end up making my own. And then after watching the videos, this is where I uploaded the PDFs for the students. Click on cultural nonverbal communication, and voila, as soon as Canvas wants to cough it up. And this is what the students were working from. I had them working on the previewing reading exercises, and then the readings were about 3 pages long, 3.5, which for them is plenty. And then that would end it there. And then going back to assignments, when the students had finished reading that particular assignment, and they could read it online if they want, I encouraged them to print it because many of them do still rely on their phones or their dictionaries quite a bit. So having that touch, they could write it down to help them with their vocabulary. And then the quiz exercises, which was based on the comprehension exercises for each reading, I told them, look at the last word. If it says quiz, then it's going to be something that's timed that they need to take. All right, so take the quiz again. Normally in their Canvas doings, I have everything set up on a 1-week module. And I tell them, you've got 7 days to get all of this work done. I don't open new work until the next module or the next week begins, and once something is closed, I don't open it again. I tried something different with this, which was it's open, and the students could do the work as many times as they wanted to. Normally, I limit it to 1 or 2 opportunities, but I figured if this is extra credit and they need the extra practice, then it doesn't really matter if they're getting 100 because it's the 100th time that they've taken the quiz. And the quiz is the topic, main idea, things like that. Okay, I'm going to be running out of screencast time here. The reflections, once the students understood what they needed to do, turned out to be very well. And I've included some samples here, one from representative from each country. And then coming to the end, questions. What was the struggle? Well, the struggle was getting the work online into Canvas after the course had already been published. It was not a struggle. My students were already familiar with Canvas. Most things went well, really. What would I do differently? I would tweak the YouTube videos. I might tweak the reading assignments. And there really weren't any surprises other than my students didn't know what a reflection was. How do I like teaching online? I've been doing it for about 7 years now, and I like it enough that I enrolled in the Masters of Education Instructional Technology program at USF. And what do I take with me? I take with me a whole bunch of stuff. There's, best practices and fun. It's okay to have fun. YouTube is my friend. It'll be interesting to see the memes that my students can create, and looking at reflections and feedback. So that's the end. It's been a pleasurable experience. My students loved being able to help me out. And so I'll leave you here with the Song of Music song. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.